In the Thuringia woods in Germany, one man has searched for a priceless treasure for half a century. A treasure he seeks not for his pocket, but for his conscience. He can't tell where the trail might end, but he can never forget where it began.
Zum Beispiel die in 120 Kisten verpackte Gütesammlung.
World War II began on September 1st, 1939, with Germany's invasion of Poland. But some people believe the war really started 9 weeks before, on July 14th, when Adolf Hitler held one of his most colorful and notorious parades, the Day of German Art. Here Hitler unveiled one of his most fervent desires, to own the greatest collection of art in the world. By war's end in 1945, he did, by systematically pillaging practically every museum and private collection in Europe. Hitler had another, darker reason for his quest, as explained by Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles.
Art is the ultimate form of a person's individual expression, and having that kind of freedom available was not something that Nazi Germany could allow. So philosophically, art was viewed as an important potential tool to promote the racism of the regime.
Das erste Ziel unseres neuen deutschen Kunstschaffens ist ohne Zweifel schon heute erreicht. So wie hat hier auch vor 3 Jahren die Reinigung eingesetzt auf dem vielleicht noch mehr verwüsteten Gebiet der Plastik und Malerei. Der ganze Schwindelbetrieb einer dekadenten oder kernhaft verlogene Modekunst ist im Weggeweht. Ein anständiges, allgemeines Niveau wurde erreicht.
They destroyed lives, they destroyed communities, they destroyed peoples, and to the surprise of no one, this same band of people were systematically looting the great treasures of Europe.
The looting leading up to the Day of German Art was just the beginning. For this national holiday, Hitler and his inner circle, Heinrich Himmler, Rudolf Hess, Albert Speer, Erich Koch, and Hermann Goering, had confiscated over 16,000 works of art from German museums, galleries, and private collections. Adolf Hitler, a frustrated artist in his youth, was now defining what was good art and what was bad. The criteria was his whim and his revenge at the art world that had scorned him. The good art he kept. The bad art he and Goering sold at auctions throughout Europe.
Telling the masses of Germany, oh no, this artwork is degenerate and no one should ever see it again. At the same time, figuring out what price they can get on the market in Switzerland.
As German troops conquered one nation after another, Hitler's art collectors followed right behind.
And as they captured various countries, national treasuries were looted of their gold, national holdings were looted of their art, and individuals, starting first and foremost with Jewish citizens in each of those countries.
But it was in September of 1941 that Hitler's art squad stole their finest trophy. 4 months after invading Russia, German troops seized the old summer palace of the Tsars, home to the magnificent Amber Room, a handcrafted stateroom of mosaic panels made entirely of natural amber.
Spectacularly beautiful and moving. Someone called it the 8th wonder of the world.
This is the only color photograph of it known to exist, taken in 1930. Edward von Falsfein, whose grandfather was an advisor to Tsar Nicholas II, remembers seeing the Amber Room as a child.
I can still remember clearly how I felt at the age of 5 being taken through the chambers of the palace and then standing here in the Amber Room. It was beautiful. It was a jewel for everyone in Russia.
The Amber Room was a gift to Peter the Great in 1717 from a Prussian prince. In 1755, it was erected at the Tsar's summer palace in a room designed precisely for the amber panels and columns. When Germany invaded Russia, the summer palace was badly damaged by bombardment. The Great Hall was a burnt shell when SS troops arrived to dismantle the Amber Room, wrapping its delicate panels in quilts and pillowcases and placing them in crates. The crates containing the Amber Room were taken to Königsberg Castle, where they remained until August 27, 1944. Then the Russians closed in on the Third Reich. According to recently discovered documents, the Amber Room managed to survive the bombing of Königsberg, but it was never seen again.
A part of a country's legacy, ripped out, shipped off, with the high probability of damage, maybe even destruction.
What happened to the Amber Room and the rest of Hitler's vast array of art treasures after the Nazis were defeated? Hans Stadelmann, who served in the German Navy during the war, has dedicated his life to finding out.
I would like to bring proof that we as Germans must carry out our duty for reparations and reconciliation. There's so much hidden in this world. I would like to contribute to this, that something is found which can be made available to the greater public. He who doesn't search will never find anything.
Stadelmann's home is in Weimar, in the Thuringia area, the heart of Germany, one of the last battlegrounds of the war, and the hiding place for Hitler's plunder. Hans has managed to gather hundreds of once secret documents and photographs from around the world.
Thuringia was the midpoint of Germany. The Americans came from the west. The Russians came from the east. All areas were cleared. And here, in this middle area, everything was brought together and stored together and secured so the enemy would not find it.
What the Allies did find was staggering.
It was exactly 1 month before Germany's final surrender when an American GI overheard two women talking about the treasure. Following the tip, a group of soldiers descended 2,100 feet into the Merkers salt mine, and there it was. In a dimly lit chamber 65 feet square, 4,000 sacks of gold were piled neatly against the wall, 100 tons of it, valued at $100 million. In addition to the gold, there were millions in foreign currency seized by the Nazis as they stamped their way across the face of Europe.
Prize thief among the high Nazis was Hermann Goering, who looted museums and private collections in all parts of Europe. Much was hidden in caves, and advancing troops captured fully laden freight cars, ready to move much of the collection to safer places for Hermann.
Yet today, over 50 years later, thousands of works are still missing, including the Amber Room.
The Amber Room is very important to me. It is a German artisan work which was created several hundred years ago to cut things out of amber and to produce them. And it is a German-Russian cultural treasure, one could say. The Germans created it, and the Russians preserved it until the war. I am of the opinion that it was never burned, that it was never destroyed, and the possibility is conceded that here in the Weimar area or in the Thuringia to look for the entire room.
Hans has focused his attention on two labyrinths of underground tunnel systems near the city of Weimar. The first is known as Bad Sulza.
The leaders of the Third Reich knew, certainly by 1943, that chances were they weren't going to win the war. What do you do with unique treasure like the Amber Room? You take it and you literally bury it beneath the ground with the hope that someday you and your cohorts might be able to come back.
We are on site for the first time with a television camera team here at this place. The first time at all that the world experiences a view of what was kept secret here.
The other network of tunnels, forgotten after their entrances were dynamited by Hitler's stormtroopers, is Jonas-Dahl.
These tunnel installations in the lower area were never examined. There was not anyone in there. Here were all the track connections. Here in front the tracks went. Here in this area is Tunnel 2, and here we have Tunnel 3. These lower tunnels were never examined, not in 45, and the tunnels were exploded just as these, exploded by the SS. This is a piece of amber. This amber was long ago cut by German amber carvers as the most beautiful natural artwork, and the Amber Room was produced. This is a one-time event in history, this artwork which was considered as a world wonder. This Amber Room. This is raw amber which was cut by hundreds of hands, thousands and thousands of hours. The beautiful Amber Room was created. We've only seen pictures. We only know pictures. We only know legends. We are searching for the Amber Room.
Aber wir suchen nach diesen Bernsteinzimmern.
This hunt, whether it's for the Amber Room or getting the full picture of which artworks may still be buried, it's an important part of history. It's an important part of understanding the full madness and cynicism of the Nazi leadership.
Hitler's pillaging of Europe has left Hans Stadelmann with a mission, one that drives him every day of his life.
Irgendjemandem das wiederzugeben, was wir ihm gestohlen haben.
It would be a joy to give it back to someone, that which we stole from them. That would really be enough for us, which we could experience. Let's assume that you are from France. Your grandmother had a large, wonderful vase or oil painting. The Nazis took it. It is here. I find it, and I can give it back to you. That would be the most wonderful thing that we could experience.